Today we'll be touching on a new launch project, which is
Thomson
Reserve.
A lot of people are actually hyping it up to be the blockbuster launch of 2026. A lot of our friends, clients, they have automatically reached out to us to ask us about Thomson Reserve. When is it launching? More details on Thomson Reserve. So I think this is why we are also doing Thomson Reserve today.
So we do not have the floor plan or even the price as of today, but I think what we will be touching on mainly is about how to buy correctly. Also, why is Thomson Reserve so popular? And if there is any other alternatives that we can look at other than Thomson Reserves because Thomson Reserve is very hype up so everybody else is asking about this. It's the blockbuster of the year. It has got good location.
I think if you look at the slide, next to Thomson, Upper Thomson MRT, opposite Thomson Plaza, within 1 km to a good school. And we also have excellent connectivity, the mega
MRT.
development. So actually all these, we were discussing one day while we were driving, to me, actually all these are actually great flags of potentially, because it's so good, it's so hyped up, it's a mega development, it's a blockbuster. I personally feel that chances of getting units at a cheap price is practically zero.
Yeah, so basically with all the
Good attributes.
And I'm pretty sure that the developer will also know that they are selling a product that is highly sought after, that people and consumers are actually looking forward to. So then that is our concern already, because is the pricing of this product going to be so-called reasonable?
I think a lot of people have just this concept that, I buy Thomson Reserve, 包赚.
I also will also think so, seriously. Because 真的很好嘛, good location, got 1 kilometer to school, got nearby convenience, a lot of enrichment tuition center all over there. I think it's walking distance also.
But then again, so that is why we have to be extra careful. If we were really to be buying a unit at, let's say, a price that is slightly higher, then we must be a little bit more careful on how we are going to choose the units.
Yep. So going down to the content, we will be sharing with you in this video today, particularly 3 things. Why is Thomson Reserve so popular? I mean, we already touched on a little bit earlier on, but we will go in depth. And then very importantly, with such a highly sought after project, it's very important to choose the right unit. So we will be also touching on how to select the correct unit. And last but not least, if Thomson Reserve is, we already know that many people will be putting their checks down. So what's going to happen if we are very concerned if there is a buyer today that really buy because of how they think that, 包赚 one ma, I just put my check down lor. But by the time is their queue number, would the pricing at that point in time still make sense or not? Or if there is any alternative buys within outside of Thomson Reserve, say for other regions or other districts, are there better buys out there? So this is something that we will be sharing as well.
So why is Thomson Reserve so hyped up?
I think right now in the location of Thomson or even Ang Mo Kio or Bishan, there is actually not much of a new condo. Now there's no new supply basically in the last 3 to 5 years time. So what we're going to be sharing is what are the latest development that is nearby, so that you all can actually compare why is Thomson Reserve so popular and so hype up, because what we see is there is actually a pent-up demand because of the scarcity in this region.
Yep.
So first thing first is we look at the panorama. So where's panorama?
It's at Ang Mo Kio. So this is to showcase to you what happens when there is little to no supply or no new supply.
So panorama at Ang Mo Kio is 100% profitable, meaning to say that based on transaction, there is not a single transaction that is not profitable. And the highest recorded profits we have seen is actually at this 1.6 mil. Of course, it's actually a 5-bedder. So all in total, there is 294 profitable transaction, which is quite a good, decent, project.
Very good. So again, strong attributes. It's got 1 km to a good school as well, near MRT. Yep.
So if you were to really look into how the resale owners are doing in the panorama itself, because most of the time people might have this concept, buy new launch, sure 包赚 one ma. But resale owners in panorama also actually
making decent profits.
Correct. So let's say how we look at this is, this level 7 owner, he actually bought a sub-sale unit at 1.3 mil, and then
subsequently sold on for 2.1.
Yeah, so that's 790k profit. Not bad, right?
Despite buying a resale.
Yeah. So that's for Panorama. So another owner at level 11, likewise also purchased a subsale unit for 1.5 mil. And then when he sold off in 2014, meaning he hold for about 5 to 6 years time, I think the profit was about 560k as well. I think this is actually for a 3-bedder, if I'm not wrong, looking at the square feet it is. So for 3-bedder, hold on for about 5 years, profiting at about 560k. That is actually pretty awesome. Yeah, 100k a year, right? Then the next one we come into is we look at Bishan Loft.
Also 100% profitable, similar to Panorama. So at Bishan Loft, again, we are looking at profits of as high as 2 million, all 97 profitable transactions.
Yeah, so if you look into transactions over here, most of the owners get like what? 1 million over each of profits. Of course, Bishan Loft is actually an EC lah. But what we are saying here is coming to the Bishan area as well because of the scarcity of condos in this area. Yeah, the supply is not there. That's why, but the demand is always there. So you can generally call for a good pricing when you are looking at selling back into the resale market. Then we look into the resale owner who purchased Bishan Loft. Again, 920k purchase, 28k purchase, and in the year of selling, sold at 1.3 mil. So that's like 300.
Almost $400,000 profits. And then the next one, again, bought in 2011, a resale, bought at about 1 million, sold off at 1.98, close touching to 2 million.
Yeah, so I think, of course, this one, the holding period is a little bit longer, 2011, and then sold at 2024. So that's like 12 to 13 years. So the profit was like a whopping 910k of profits, which is pretty awesome as well. And last but not least, we have Jadescape. Jadescape
the
is
more recent launch.
Yeah, I think it's the most recent launch, in fact, that is happening around the Bishan area. So again, it's 100% profitable, 0 transactions that is recorded as unprofitable. If you really look into the buyer's profile of the Bishan area, right?
I think there will be this thoughts of like whether or not there will be a lot of HDB upgraders or whether or not there's the support of HDB upgraders. But as we can see from here in the Jadescape example, actually more than half of the purchases were from private property owners.
Yeah, meaning previously they already hold on to a private and today they are coming back to a private. They are. So what we are trying to say here is why is Thomson Reserve so hyped up is also partly because there are also private owners looking to, offload their existing one and go for something newer as well. Just like what happens in Jadescape also. So some of the concern is whether, who is going to buy from me next time, because if I'm going to sell and call for such a high price, HDB upgrader, would they have enough sufficient profits or to pay for the down payment or things like that? So what we're trying to say here is private owners are actually make up bulk of the purchasing power based on how we look into Jadescape. Yeah, and I think what we have here also is 15% that were from PR that purchased Jadescape, and also of course 3% were from foreigners as well. Yeah. So right, why we go into this is again, today if we have a $5 million or if you have a $5 million today, which would you choose? Will you choose like a 3-year-old Jadescape that is a 99-year leasehold, or would you go for a freehold terrace
this question would definitely be something that people would be wondering. With like 5 mil, I actually potentially can enter into a freehold landed terrace.
Yeah.
In the same estate. But at 5 million, most of the time we will actually be seeing listings that is, as we can see here, at B, it will be like a freehold inter-terrace, which is in an original condition. So if you are buying something that is in original condition and if you plan to be staying in it, you probably would require minimally $500,000 in renovations.
$500,000 maybe just renovate the interior only.
The interior.
I think with the exterior, it can go up to 1 mil
or even 2 million.
Yeah, if you want to go for like a second level lah, because this one is just level 1 for now, right?
Yeah. A single story. So potentially you'll be looking at like 1.5 $2 million in renovations itself. So that itself will also mean that your outlay will potentially be a lot more if you are to be considering a landed compared to a big size unit in the Thomson area.
So logically, I think most people at the glance of it will definitely want to go for freehold because that's how I would feel. But really, when you deep dive into numbers, if you look into the financials, the affordability, then you realize, actually, I would pay 5 mil for like a condo with amenities instead and facilities instead, because I may have the money for the house, but I may not have sufficient to fork out another 1 million or 2 mil just for the renovation. The stress level, I think, is a lot higher as compared to purchasing a condo.
And the circumstances as well. So whether or not you need a house or need a place to like stay in.
Yeah.
So if you are renovating the house, you won't be able to be staying inside. You already be starting to pay your mortgage, and then you potentially will be renting somewhere else plus the renovation costs. So all these are costs that's going to be added up.
So we get it lah, 5 million. People will be thinking it crazy, right? To be getting like a 99-year-old leasehold condo. But what we are trying to say here is, if you are looking today at Bishan, Thomson area, there has already been transactions that is crossing close to 5 million or like at the high of 4 million. People don't mind paying 5 million for a leasehold. And this can also happen for Thomson Reserves as well, based on how we see things as it is, right?
As you can see from here, Jadescape.
This is actually a penthouse unit that was sold at 10 million. But let's say if we look into normal 5 bedrooms, already transacted at 4.9. So I don't think it will be surprised if we do have
units crossing 5
units
million.
crossing 5 mil. Correct.
But so this is to actually just showcase to you that 4 million, 5 million, these are prices that have already been accepted in and around the Thomson area. Yeah.
So then it's important to really go down to selecting the right unit, right? Because if you are going to pay 3 mil, 4 mil, or even 5 million for Thomson Reserves, I think it's at the end it boils down to selecting the correct unit. I mean, when supply is limited but demand is high, I think if you select the wrong unit, generally not too bad, you might still be able to sell. But when demand is not there and somehow the unit that you selected may not be the most ideal in terms of livability, then I think it's going to be very tricky when you are going to sell, which is why I think for the amount of money that you are going to put into Thomson Reserve, I think it's very important and prudent for us to also look into. Yeah, we need to be really cautious in picking the right unit. So what we have here is an example of Skyview and Sky Habitat. So where's the location?
It's also, again, very, very strong attributes. Skyview and Sky Habitat right at Bishan, very near MRT. Sky Habitat was launched first in April 2012, followed by Skyview in 2013. But as you can see here, the profitability is very different.
Yeah, if I'm not an agent, right, I look at Sky Habitat, I'll be like, wow, 很美嘞，对吗? So pretty, like the architect and all is just so gorgeous comparing to Skyview. But when we really dive down into the numbers and the transactions, I think me as an agent is also very surprised by the
performance.
Yeah, even though they are like
side
just right next to each other. So we will share with you why is the reason so. So if you look into Sky Habitat, there is actually a 28 transactions that were non-profitable. So I think it can go up to as high as a loss of $600,000 for Sky Habitat. And this is, of course, you are looking at the 4-bedder lah. For the 2-bedder, I think the range is around 200-ish for in terms of loss in amount, which is very, very sad, right? For people that go into buying back then, I mean, they fork out this amount, but they still come with a loss. But if you were to compare into Skyview, right, which is their next door neighbor, you will be surprised that the transaction were shockingly healthy. I think for like a normal 2-bedder, they're also making around $200,000 as opposed to the profits that we have seen at Sky Habitat. They are like making less than $50,000, even though they are side by side. Also a 2-bedder, also at about 800-ish. 600 to 800 kind of square feet, even though they are about the same. Transaction date also about the same, day of purchase. But the profits is just very, very wide difference.
So the reason why we are actually taking units or transactions that is ranging from the 2011, 2012 to 2018 is because I think almost majority of the properties that actually were transacted after 2019
generally all made profits because of the lack of supply, right? Yeah, after COVID-19, everything basically just went up. So what's the reason between Sky Habitat and Skyview? Both are side by side. But why are they making such difference in terms of profitability, which is why we are going into the importance of choosing the correct layout today.
Yep. So we can see here, Skyview, 2-bedder, very general layout, it's a very general 2-bedder unit. And compared to Sky Habitat,
it has
we have a powder room.
And it's an open kitchen as well. Yeah, I mean like open kitchen as opposed to Skyview, which has a closed kitchen concept over here. And I don't know why they want to do like a powder room for a 2-bedder.
I mean, not the most practical lah.
Yeah,
for a
and they also have very large balcony. And if you notice, the balcony is actually all slanted.
Odd shape.
Yeah, odd shape. As opposed to Skyview is squarish. So what we're trying to say here is, right,
Although both have got dual balconies, but one of them is like the balcony is in an odd shape, there's an open alley kitchen, and instead of a proper bathroom, it's a powder room. Compared to Skyview, a very conventional two-bedroom layout with enclosed kitchen. This is the main reason, really, why the performance of these two developments varies so much.
yeah, I think main thing is also because like the livability of this Skyview unit is just much more reasonable and much more livable as opposed to what is happening at Sky Habitat. If we were to show you, maybe floor plan a bit hard for you all to visualize, so we actually dig out some photos of how the balcony actually look like. You will see that even you want to install what you call the zip track, also is an issue. Also, if today you are the buyer, you are going to viewing these two projects, which one will you go to? I think for me,
generally, I think people prefer a more conventional layout lah.
Yeah.
Are we saying that we are definitely going to be seeing something like this in Thomson Reserve? I don't think so. I don't think it'll be that bad of a layout.
Yeah, I don't think that's what we meant, but what we were trying to put across is that end of the day, you're going to pay like a good, decent millions of dollars with Thomson Reserve. You also want to choose like one of the best stacks and the best layout that you can find possible in
put you in
Thomson
a better
Reserve.
position lah.
Yeah, because Thomson Reserve got at least 1,000 over units, correct? So among 1,000 over units, in the event whereby you're going to sell it to the resale market, right? That is how buyer will be looking at as well, how they are going to pick like the correct layout for themselves.
Yep.
Yeah, they need to imagine themselves being able to stay inside the house. So which is why layout is very important. We're also going to be touched on entry price. So obviously entry price, you can get the best of everything. The layout is so good, the location is ideal and everything. But if the entry price crosses a certain number of PSF, maybe you want to reconsider.
So today, if we are like crossing, for example, $3,000 per square foot, should we be considering something in the core central region, the central areas?
Yeah, so Thomson Reserve is actually at the RCR, right? Let's do a comparison between RCR and CCR to see whether which one actually can
And
also
compare on the performance also.
Yes. So we have under CCR, there is Linden Green. Linden Green is actually a freehold project. If you were to compare a two-bed between a CCR as well as Woodley Residence, also a two-bedder, you will see that in terms of PSF, they are actually pretty much the same. There is no price gap between these two projects. But if you were to look into profitability-wise, right, the ROI at CCR is actually a lot higher as opposed to what is happening at Woodley Residence, even though the date of purchase is actually very much similar. So what we're trying to say here again is that at a certain point in time, does Thomson Reserve still make sense or not? Or is there any other alternatives that you all can look into? Or are we just really wanting the location? So if you were to compare between another project in the RCR region, we also have like the one per bank. Yeah, so one per bank, this one we are looking at like the two-bedder as well. So of course, if we were to look into PSF, it's pretty much the same. Again, no price gap. The date of purchase also in 2021. But if you look into the returns, right, the ROI of Linden Green is slightly higher because of why the purchase price is significantly lower by about $300,000. So your outlay is a lot lesser.
So to buy something in the central region that is even cheaper than one in the City Fringe area.
If you were to compare four-bedder, of course there is some price gap over here lah. 7.8, what do you think of 7.8 price gap for a CCR versus an RCR?
I think it's still very acceptable.
Yeah.
At 7.8.
CC of Linden Green is slightly higher at 2005 because of the price gap, right? But you will see that it made a lot of sense even though the outlay is slightly higher. But the profitability is so much difference compared to what Woodley has to offer, even though both owners purchased four-bedder in the year 2021. But although the outlay is a lot higher, but of course the profitability makes a lot of sense as well. So this is what we're trying to say, right? Between whether today Thomson Reserve, if you hit a certain price point, would you want to again reconsider other alternatives? We actually went to find out what other
options.
What other options as of today, what CCR has to offer to us, and how if we were to think that Thomson Reserve crosses 3,000 PSF, if there is any other thing that we can really look at. So we have a whole list of available projects, but over here we'll just handpick two.
So for two bedrooms, we actually have got one in the District 9, which is a mixed development as well. Two-bedder with a PSF of 2,800. So below 3,000 lah.
And Union Square, a three-bedder, is transacting below 3,000. Obviously, it's at 2,006 only. Very like where to find a 2,006 three-bedder.
So today, even in the outskirts, the outside or central region, OCR has already transacted at 2006.
Yeah, because if you think that these two projects doesn't suit you and you want to find out what are your other options, please feel free to reach out to us, and we are more than happy to share with you what are the certain alternatives that you can look into other than Thomson Reserve when it hits like 3000 PSF. So then just now we were comparing with the CCR, now we are comparing RCR versus OCR. What is the price gap? I'm sure the price gap will be a lot bigger because now we are looking at comparing outside of the central region, right?
So today, if we look at Claiborne, there was a 45% price gap between the RCR and OCR region.
Yeah, Claiborne is at the Clementi area, right?
Yeah.
So if we take back Woodleigh residence as a comparison, in the year of 2021, Claiborne was also launched compared to Woodleigh. So of course the down payment for people and owners who purchase Claiborne is slightly a little bit lower, obviously, because they are buying at something that is outside of the central region. But who actually profits more? That one I think is the key question, right? So if you look into here, owners of the 4-bedder in Claiborne actually profited $700,000. Some even cross up to $800,000 as opposed to Woodleigh, which is nearer to town, nearer to the central region, and then the outlay is higher, but the profits is lower as well. So these are the things that you all really need to take into consideration when selecting the right unit at the right price. That one very, very, very important.
So the next one, 47% price gap between an OCR development at Whistler Grand versus a City Fringe development at Avenue South Residences. So we can also see here the purchase price, the PSF. So it's like 1,009 for Avenue South, and then 1,003 for an OCR Whistler Grand. And then again, when we look at the profitability of Whistler Grand, 700,000 as compared to the City Fringe Avenue South 200 to 300,000.
Very sad, right?
So it's like almost double.
Yeah, imagine.
Despite having more outlay,
correct,
and then you make lesser than people.
So these are the things I'm sure y'all don't want to fall into. So Thomson Reserve, a lot of people will go into emotional purchase. We don't deny that. We also really love that project. But the thing is, if we are all emotional, then if we are looking into profits, then that's a different story altogether really. You need to really remove the emotional side of things and then really put yourself in the shoe of being a practical buyer. Where else can you go into?
Yep. I mean, today, of course, if you are just saying that you are buying Thomson Reserve, stay forever.
Then go ahead. Then go ahead, because that location really very hard to find, and I don't think in the near future there will be any similar projects that is coming out in that location.
So let's say today you are not concerned about I'm going to stay there forever, I'm not concerned about profits, I just want to buy Thomson Reserve and stay, then of course, I mean, go ahead.
But also have to look whether you have a good queue number lah. For all you know, if you don't get a good balloting number, you also don't get to choose, right? Yeah. So if you were to look into outside of central region, we also have other alternatives. Let's say if you are looking at going to Thomson Reserve, but then they hit a price point whereby you are willing to walk away one, right? There is actually this option in Alta. So if you look into 3,000 PSF, right?
Versus Alta.
Yeah. Whatever price that you're going to pay for Thomson Reserves in 3,000 PSF, right? Probably you'll get like a 4-bedder.
Yeah, potentially it's just going to be a 4-bedder.
Yeah.
Whereas if we are to compare with an OCR development, over here, Alta, you potentially can upsize your bedroom type to a 5-bedder.
Yeah, a 5-bedder and at a significant lower PSF. I think that makes a lot more sense already.
At 2002, in today's context, I think we can all agree that it is cheap.
Yeah, it is cheap. So yes, we have come to the end of our part 1 analysis of Thomson Reserves.
Yep.
In the next video, we will be sharing with you more about Thomson Reserves, the floor plan, the analysis, how we look into the layout as per what we mentioned earlier on. When the price list is out, we'll also be sharing with you what is the starting price that they will be going to launch at for the 2-bedder up to the 5-bedder, for example. If you are looking at Thomson Reserves, or if you have anything that with regards to this project that you are keen to find out more, please feel free to scan us or follow us on our social media platforms. If not, we will see you in our next video.